Hi, everyone. George Christie here with the Wine Industry Network, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Wine Industry Insider Series. This is a program where we interview thought leaders and influencers that are helping to shape and direct our industry. Today's guest is David Browne, the Vice President of Portfolio Management with Ruby Wines Incorporated, based in Massachusetts. But David's here actually in another capacity to talk about a new organization called the Independent Distributors Network. David, welcome.
Thank you, George. It's great to be here.
Well, I appreciate you being here and giving myself and our audience to learn a little bit more about the Independent Distributors Network, or IDN. So as a bit of background for our audience, there was a press release that came out in late July, basically announcing the launch of the new organization, and it immediately got my attention, primarily because it's common knowledge in our industry that gaining and maintaining the attention of your distributor in the marketplace is a challenge for wineries of every size. And it's a topic that we tackle here at Wine Industry Network at an annual event that we put on called the Three-Tier Wine Symposium, which is really all about helping wineries succeed in that wholesale channel. So I obviously wanted to learn more about the group and their goals, and so here we are. So David, obviously we want to talk about IDN, but before we begin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself along with your role at Independent Distributors Network?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, I work at Ruby Wines, which is a fourth generation fine wine house in Massachusetts. I've been here a little over 10 years, and I've got a background that goes back to the mid 80s with Gallo and a bunch of other things. So I've been in the business a long time and seen a lot of changes, obviously, George. But my role at the IDN, we'll call it, is just one of many members that's trying to do my part to ultimately increase wine sales and wine consumption. So, I'm on the executive committee with a bunch of other gentlemen and women, for that matter, and we're just doing everything we can to try and put this organization together. And so far so good.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the organization and how this whole thing came about.
Yeah, so I mean, it started with 3 states, 4 distributors got together, and they want to come up with a different solution, something different than the current distribution system that's out there. I think we all know that there's a lot of brands. There's a lot of brands that don't get any attention, and these 4 gentlemen in this case. Had a conversation over a couple of glasses of wine and said, hey, we think we can do something better. We have a lot of relationships across the country. Let's see if we can kind of put a group together to improve the business, quite honestly.
Right. So to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, the better the business, and how would you define the goals for the organization, both maybe in the near term as well as down the road?
Yeah, it's our near term, really it's, there's several different things we're trying to accomplish, but our goal right now is to expand our network. And right now, we're in 19 states. We've got 20 distributors, really strong group of people. Our number one priority right now is to expand to 30 states by the end of this year, and then hopefully 50 states, and be in all 50 states next year. So that's our short-term goal, I would say.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're trying to develop brands. The group is getting together consistently and trying to develop some brands. So those are the near term. Looking down the road, we can share different ideas, whether it's training, whether it's networking, systems. We all have different needs. Mm-hmm. Some of us are really good at logistics. Some of us aren't so good at logistics. So right. It's a group of distributors that can discuss different issues and items in the industry that we can help each other out. So
when we talk about developing brands, are you talking about taking existing brands and helping them to grow or bring them into new markets, or are you actually talking about developing new brands?
I think it's a combination of everything, George. Honestly, okay. It's whatever fits the need. We've got a lot to do. Right. But I think ultimately there's a lot of existing brands out there that may not be getting the attention that they deserve and that they want. So we're going to talk to all of those people, and if there's a fit, we're certainly going to we're going to look at those options. Additionally, we all have a lot of network, industry connections.
Right.
And if there's brands that we can develop as a group, and develop a label and develop, we're going to do that as well. So let's face it, there's no shortage of great wine out there.
Right.
So we're going to look at all different options.
Well, I agreed, and the choices can be a bit overwhelming for the consumer. But I think that what it sounds like, that they're in some form, you're also serving as almost like in a consultant role, where you're helping to develop these brands, right? So I suppose that you're talking to your wineries that you're working with already and trying to advise them on things that they could be doing better to, stand out on the shelf or stand out on the list. And have you found that the wineries are pretty receptive to the advice that you're trying to give them?
I'd say yes. I mean, look, the whole landscape of our business has changed so much since March, so
right.
There's a lot of, we found that there's a lot of wineries that are looking for different options right now, that have to change their business model, for example. So yeah, we're talking to everyone we can, and we're gonna help who we can.
So the conversations about the starting IDN happened before the outbreak of COVID-19. How has the pandemic impacted what you're doing, with regard to the organization?
Well, it's certainly slowed things down. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of came to a standstill for a short period of time.
Right.
Regrouped. It's probably set us back a few months, honestly. It's also give us an opportunity to kind of look at a bigger picture. So right. I think because of COVID, the IDN is not much more important. There are a lot more wineries, like we discussed, that are looking for different solutions. Yeah. So, COVID it's affected everybody, obviously, and it's affected the IDN. Luckily, our membership is, we've made it through, and we're, we meet on a regular basis. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's doing okay. So it certainly affected our the way things were going, but we're doing okay.
So I have to imagine that obviously I'm not the only one who this press release got the attention of, right? So when the press release came out, what's it been like? What's the response been like from the industry?
It was shocking. That's the only word I can use to describe it. Right. We've had an amazing response to the press release, and there's been several re-releases of that press release. So everywhere from wineries and brokers and software companies and freight companies, and I can go on and on and on. The response has been incredible, and it's almost been overwhelming, quite honestly, George. I don't think we were expecting the response that we got. So for wineries that are reaching out, they probably should expect that maybe you're not going to get back to them that day necessarily, but tell me a little bit about. Let's maybe back up a little bit. So for a winery that's interested in learning more, what do they do, and what's the process like, and what can they expect with regard to timing and the process in general? Yeah. So I mean, our goal obviously is to be as responsive as possible. Unfortunately, when we're getting hundreds and hundreds of inquiries, we're trying to do our due diligence for everybody. So we will look into. So I can tell you that if somebody has sent us an inquiry, somebody within our organization is researching that winery or freight company or IT right. platform, you name it. We're doing the research, and then we're going to respond in as timely a fashion as we can. Our goal is to get back to everyone immediately, and I think we all want to be that responsive. Right. Unfortunately, it's been time consuming, and really, like I said, it's been overwhelming. We are going to get back to everyone. So what I would recommend is for if a winery is interested, suppliers interested, they should go through the system, which is get into our website and fill out the paperwork, the questionnaire there,
Yep.
and somebody will get back to them. What we've done is we broke it down amongst the members, and everybody is responsible for responding one way or another to every inquiry. And then beyond that, our goal is to get some brands going sometime next year. We're working on things, but we're going to take our time and be very selective and be very honest with suppliers and wineries, because this network might not be for everybody.
Right. Now that makes sense to me. So to piggyback on that response, is there a certain size winery that's and I know it's not just wineries that you're working with, but of course, as Wine Industry Network, that's really our focus. But is there a certain size winery that's kind of a nice fit, or does it not really matter how large or small you are?
Yeah, I think the goal is to have a winery that can support all of our markets.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Okay.
So, that can mean a lot of different things. Someone wants to do 100,000 cases in every market, and they need to be big enough to support that. Some want to do 10 in each market. So, so it's a very broad, I would say that's a broad statement. And obviously we're looking for wineries of all sizes, large wineries or large suppliers as well.
Gotcha.
So.
And from a regional perspective, obviously, California, Washington, Oregon. What about other states? Are you working with other states as well?
We're trying to, yes, right now, and that's the other thing I didn't mention earlier, is we've had great responses from several, just about every market in the country, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're in the process right now of talking to wholesalers from the East Coast to the West Coast, down south, up north. So we're talking to everybody in every state right now. For sure.
That's fantastic. Well, I love what you're doing. Obviously, based on the response that you've experienced, there was some pent-up demand for exactly what you and your team are putting together here. So I wish you, all the luck in the world. And I would love to be able to reconnect with you, David, maybe 6 months, 12 months down the road. I think it'll be really interesting just to see how things evolve with the organization as you layer on more states, as the processes get worked out, right? Because it's like any new business or any new organization, right? You sort of take your best stab at how you think things are going to go, and that almost never works, right? So you make adjustments, and so I think it'll be interesting to see how you guys adjust and the progress that you make over the next 12 months or so. Is there anything else about the organization or any other advice that you have for wineries that are interested in getting involved that you want to leave with?
No, I think just to follow up, I think send us the information, and just remember we're looking out for them. So our goal is to make sure that the end user, the consumer, has access to the best wines in the world. That's really what our goal is long term, and so we're going to do everything we can to help, with these wineries. And we can't help everybody, certainly, but we're going to do our best. We've got a long way to go. We have a lot to prove. And I think, in 6 months when we meet again, George, we'll have some more to talk about. But that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Well, listen, again, thank you so much for your time. And I wish you guys the best of luck. And again, I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.